I saw the message while the elevator doors were sliding shut, the metal edges almost kissing. One line in the family group chat. Glowing cold white against the black screen, dinner starts at 7 o'clock, don't be late. Then the photo loaded. The long oak table I grew up eating at. Now dressed in mom's red Christmas cloth, candles flickering. Every face I've known since childhood laughing. Cheeks flushed with wine and warmth. Every chair taken. My chair. The one with the tiny scratch on the left arm where I used to hide my initials when I was 8. Empty. Not just empty, forgotten. Like they had pulled it away from the table completely so no one would even notice the gap. My stomach dropped so hard I felt it in my knees. The elevator jolted to my floor and the doors opened to an empty hallway, but I couldn't move. I just stood there staring at that photo until the screen went dark. And my own reflection stared back, pale, eyes too wide, mouth slightly open like I'd been punched and hadn't caught my breath yet. By the time I reached my apartment, my hands were shaking so badly I dropped the keys twice. Another notification slid down like a knife. An email forward from Dad, no subject. Just an attachment, $25,847.31, Serena's BMW. Crumpled hood, airbags deployed, glass everywhere. Message body. 3 lines, handle this before the end of the month, we're counting on you. Thanks. Double quotes thanks. As if I were a bank. As if I were a stranger they were politely asking for a favor. Not their daughter who had just been erased from Christmas Eve. I set the phone face down on the counter. But the screen kept lighting up underneath, pulsing like a heartbeat I didn't want to feel. Snow started falling outside the balcony, soft and silent. The way tears fall when you're too shocked to make a sound. I wrapped my arms around my ribs because something inside was actually hurting, a deep, tearing ache that felt exactly like the moment you realize you never belonged anywhere. You thought you did. I grew up in a house where love had conditions written in invisible ink. My father, Grant Rowan, spoke in clipped military sentences that left no room for questions. My mother, Elise, floated through rooms smoothing edges, whispering it's fine, honey, even when it wasn't, and Serena, my little sister, 2 years younger and a lifetime brighter. She was the sun they all orbited without ever noticing the shadow she cast over me. I was 11 the first time I truly understood I was the spare. I had dragged an ancient computer from the garage, dust flying like gold in the winter sun. I sat at the kitchen table for hours unscrewing panels, heart hammering with a feeling I didn't have words for yet, just this fierce, secret joy that something finally belonged only to me. Dad walked in, boots dripping melted snow. He looked at the wires, looked at me, and the disappointment in his eyes was so heavy I felt it land on my chest. Waste of time, he said, voice flat. Do something real. Serena bounced in behind him, cheeks pink from the cold, holding up a crayon drawing of a horse with a lopsided crown. Daddy, look. He knelt, actually knelt, and took the paper like it was priceless. His whole face softened in a way I had never seen. Now that's talent, princess. He ruffled her hair and she giggled, the sound bright and careless, slicing straight through me. I remember my fingers going numb around the screwdriver. I remember the exact second the joy curdled into shame so thick I could taste it. I closed the case, carried the computer back to the garage, and cried silently into the sleeve of my hoodie so no one would hear. That day a tiny crack opened inside my chest and never closed. 16 came and went. Serena got a Jeep with a giant pink bow. The driveway turned into a photo shoot. I got a handshake and a 20-minute lecture about compound interest. 2 months later, she smashed the passenger side into a pillar. Dad screamed at me for 20 minutes about responsibility while Serena stood behind him, twisting her hair, eyes wide and innocent. She whispered sorry, when he turned away. But the second he looked back, the tears started and suddenly I was the careless one again. I swallowed it, like I swallowed everything, science fairs, scholarships, straight A's. None of it ever made it to the fridge. Serena's cheer trophies had their own lighted shelf in the hallway. Guests walked in and the first thing they saw was her name in gold. I learned to smile small, to say it's nothing when anyone asked what I was working on. To celebrate alone in the dark with the door locked and the lights off, so no one would feel uncomfortable with my happiness. College acceptance day. I called home shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. Dad, I got into the cybersecurity program, full ride plus stipend, silence. Then a sigh that cut deeper than any insult. So you're still chasing that computer nonsense, click. Serena's Instagram that night, new designer bag. Caption Daddy's little girl forever. I stopped calling home with good news after that. Denver became my hiding place. I built a life no one asked about. They assumed I was fine. Fine was the only temperature they ever checked. Then came Christmas Eve. The photo. The empty chair. The invoice that followed like a slap. I made tea with hands that wouldn't stop trembling. The mug burned my palms, but I welcomed the pain, something real, something that was mine. I opened the invoice again and again, zooming in on the totaled car. The crumpled hood, the deployed airbags. Imagining Serena laughing right before impact the way she always laughed, careless, bright, untouchable. I opened the loan portal. 71 days delinquent. One more missed payment and the bank could take it. I stared at those numbers until they blurred with tears I refused to let fall. I picked up the phone. My voice didn't shake when I spoke to the woman on the other end. I gave her every detail from the invoice they had sent me. When she asked my relationship to the account, I heard myself say, calm and clear, I'm the person they assumed would pay for their mistakes. I'm done being that person. She processed the repossession without another question. The truck would come within 24 hours. I hung up and something inside me shattered open. Not with noise, but with a rush of cold, clean air. After years of holding my breath, I typed the email with tears finally falling. Hot and silent. Dripping onto the keyboard, I will not be covering this expense. It is not my loan. It is not my responsibility. Please never send me another bill instead of an invitation again. Send. Christmas morning. I woke to the phone screaming. 47 missed calls. Serena's texts a frantic waterfall of blame and tears. Dad's voicemails growing tighter, angrier. Until the last one cracked completely. This is not how you treat family. Emberly, a photo from an unknown number, the repo truck in our old driveway. Serena barefoot on the freezing porch in silk pajamas. Mouth open in a scream no one would ever hear, Dad's face purple with rage. Mom standing behind them with her hand over her mouth like she was watching her whole world tilt. I sat on my balcony wrapped in a blanket, coffee gone cold in my hands, and watched the snow fall soft and merciless while somewhere across 3 states. Serena's car was towed away forever. 2 days later they appeared at my office without warning. Dad burst through the door like he still owned every room I was in. Serena's eyes were swollen, almost shut. Mom looked like she hadn't slept since Christmas. Dad didn't wait. You humiliated us. Fix it, now. I stood slowly, feeling every year of swallowed words rise in my throat. No, one word. It came out steady, final, like the closing of a door I should have locked decades ago. Serena started sobbing. It was just a car, Em. Why are you being so cruel? I looked at her, really looked, and felt nothing but tired. Because I'm tired of being the only one who ever pays for anything, Serena. I'm tired of empty chairs and full invoices. I'm tired. Dad opened his mouth, closed it. Face going slack with something that looked terrifyingly like fear. For the first time in my life he saw me, really saw me. And realized I was no longer asking permission to exist. He turned and left without another word. Serena ran after him, heels clicking like gunshots down the hallway. Mom lingered in the doorway, eyes shining with tears she would never let fall in front of him. She reached out like she wanted to touch my face, then let her hand drop. I'm so sorry I didn't save you a seat, she whispered, voice breaking on every word. I'm sorry I never saved you at all. Then she was gone. The door clicked shut and the silence that flooded in was the most beautiful sound I have ever heard. I stood there for a long time, tears streaming, chest shaking with sobs that finally had nowhere left to hide. That was 2 years ago. I haven't spoken to any of them since. Serena's car was sold at auction. Dad lost in court. My company is now worth more than he ever made in his entire life. And not one of them knows what I actually do. Some nights I still sit on my balcony and feel the exact moment the crack inside my chest finally healed into something stronger than it ever was before. The snow still falls the same way, soft and merciless, covering everything that tried to bury me. I am no longer the spare. I am no longer the fixer. I am no longer the empty chair, and for the first time in 33 years, the silence doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like coming home.